Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're tackling some really profound source material. It's this fascinating mix of philosophy and theology.
Right.
And it offers a, pretty surprising view on creation, free will, destiny. Our goal here is to pull out the key ideas on how these sources see creation actually being completed.
Yeah, and it's definitely a unique framework, quite ancient. It really pushes back on some common ideas about, free will and how divine design might work.
Okay.
We're really just focusing on understanding the logic inside this material itself, not adding our own critique or anything.
Got it. And the central puzzle these sources seem to wrestle with is, if God wanted beings who loved him, why give them free will? Yeah. Especially if it seems like that just leads straight to sin and death.
Exactly.
And how could you ever get to a perfect creation from that starting point, according to this view?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The sources suggest that God, existing outside time, could see the inevitable result of completely free will.
Meaning sin and death.
Meaning sin and death, yes. That creatures would fall into it. So because God foresaw this, the claim is that a solution was built in right from the very beginning, even before creation as we know it.
A preordained solution.
That's the idea, what these sources call the cross. It's not framed as a patch-up job after things went wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's presented as a fundamental, necessary part of how creation was always meant to reach its completion. It implies creation is still, happening, still in progress.
Okay, that's a big concept. So let's unpack the free will part. The sources seem to say true love needs choice, right? You can't force love.
Precisely. Coerced obedience, that's not love in this view.
But then you have the problem you mentioned, free will, just on its own, seems to lead down a bad path towards sin. So how do they bridge that gap?
Right. The assertion here is that for creatures to genuinely love God and also love each other, they first have to really get God's love, to understand it.
You don't just have love inherently.
Apparently not. They need to experience God's love first, profoundly, before they can actually return it.
And that brings us back to the cross. That's positioned as the big demonstration of God's love.
Exactly. The ultimate one. The sources paint this picture of God capable of making endless universes, choosing this incredible sacrifice, even, as they put it, abandoning his son for beings described as, frankly, worthless in that context.
Wow.
And that sacrifice, according to the material, is what flips the script. It makes those creatures precious.
Okay.
And it allows them, finally, to comprehend what divine love actually looks like. And this connects directly to what the sources talk about as free will completion.
Free will completion, what does that mean exactly?
It means that when a creature truly, deeply loves something or someone, their will becomes sort of aligned with that love. So much so that choosing to harm what they love becomes, impossible.
Like the example you mentioned, loving your parents.
Right. Think about it. If you truly love your parents, you can't choose to harm them. Not because you physically lack the ability, but because your desire, your will, is completed or perfected by that love. The option is just off the table.
Okay, I think I get that.
So apply that to God. The idea is that free will can become so bound up in love for God that sin just isn't possible anymore. It leads you to ask, what is ultimate freedom? Is it having endless choices, even bad ones?
Or is it having your will perfectly lined up with love?
Exactly. That's the question these sources seem to pose.
That definitely shifts the perspective. Now, these sources also talk about sin having incredibly severe consequences. Like, its ultimate outcome is to kill God. That sounds extreme.
It does sound extreme. And it's important to understand it's likely meant metaphorically within this framework, not literal deicide.
Okay.
It probably means severing that vital connection with the divine, undermining the whole point of why creation exists in the first place. It highlights the gravity.
And that helps explain how the cross deals with justice.
Yes. The sources argue that if God just, waved a hand and saved sinful Adam, then his own justice would demand he also save sinful Satan.
Which would be chaos.
Total chaos, yes. But the argument continues. Because God, in the form of the last Adam, offered his own blood for the repentant Adam, God can now justly save Adam while still justly condemning Satan.
I see.
So it demonstrates God's justice, but it also crucially proves that his commandments can actually be followed. They aren't impossible demands.
Right. Through the last Adam example.
Yeah.
God taking on a body of death, as they say, to live out those commandments perfectly.
Exactly. It's not just about the sacrifice, it's the demonstration, showing creatures that, yes, this way of life is possible.
And how does that then enable us, or the first Adam, to achieve that same free will completion?
Well, the sources say it's not through human effort alone. It's through receiving the forgiveness made possible by the last Adam's blood.
Okay.
And then through what they describe as the Holy Spirit living within a person. This whole process, this transformation, is what leads to a state where doubts about God's love or justice are gone.
Enabling creatures to unhesitatingly love God.
That's the phrase used, yes.
Yeah.
A state of complete trust and love.
So, stepping back, what's the big takeaway here? Even if we just look at the concepts, this whole deep dive points to a really different way of thinking about free will.
Definitely.
Not just as unlimited choice, but maybe as a path towards a perfected state. A state where love essentially makes sin impossible, which, in this view, is how creation gets completed.
Right. The cross isn't just fixing a mistake in this framework, it's the engine driving creation towards its intended purpose.
Which is?
A universe filled with beings whose free will is so perfectly aligned with love that sin just ceases to be. It's eradicated. And if you follow that logic, true freedom might not be about having infinite options, including harmful ones. Maybe true freedom, in this specific viewpoint, is found in that ultimate expression of love, where choosing harm isn't even a real consideration anymore.
That leaves us with a lot to think about. Here's something for you to ponder on your own. If love can perfect free will so completely that sin becomes impossible, does that mean true freedom is really the absence of bad choices? Or is it the ultimate, unwavering embrace of good?